The following episode features silly things performed by non-professionals and under the supervision of no one real. Accordingly, Angry Snowboarder and its affiliates must insist that no one attempt to recreate or reenact any silly thing or wacky activity performed on this episode.
Hello, snowboarders of the internet. We're your hosts, Avran and TC, and in today's video, we're going to cut some snowboard boots in half and show you what's inside of it. Did we find anything interesting, TC?
Yeah, found a lot interesting, actually.
Yes. So, hopefully you, out there in the internet, will also find this interesting and understand what's inside those Ride Snowboard boots. And if you work for a competing snowboard brand, send us boots. We want to cut more in half. So the first big thing that we want to talk about after cutting these boots open is the Plus Slime insole. It is on both the low end and the high end boot. We have the stock here and the Insole there. What can you say about Plus Slime, TC?
So, both boots are going to have it, just like you stated before, where actually on the lower end boot, the Plus Slime insole isn't going to be as thick as it is on the higher end boot, the Insole here, where you do have a very thick Plus Slime insole, and it's nice and contrasted by the regular sole on the bottom of the boot. But also, to go along with the Plus Slime insole, they both are going to have that heat blanket in the bottom as well. So you can see on the stock, it's going to have it from the heel to the toe, and on the Insole, it's actually going to have it wrapping around the toe. Because of that urethane toe on it, it's not going to be as warm, as insulated as, say, the stock is, where it has 3 pieces of foam on the inside there. So this one is just going to have that to keep all of that snow and that cold out of the toe box area.
Basically, with the higher end boots, you're going to get more insulation wrapping in there that is a reduction in weight and material, so that way your feet stay warmer. This boot will actually be warmer than this one, even though this has a more insulated material, just because it's designed to reflect that heat back into the liner. So when we get to the tongues of these boots, there is a noticeable difference. The Insole has the slime tongue in it, which is urethane. This uses more of a synthetic that isn't as much of a rebound additive to it. And then it's also just designed to be a softer flexing tongue. That's why we actually cut this out, so we could actually show that once you rip this material apart, you have that thin foam in there for padding, and then you've got that synthetic in there, and that's what makes it up. But there is nothing to this.
With the slime tongue, you're going to get definitely more rebound to it, even as it stands now that we have cut it in half. It still keeps its rigidity, still wants to keep its natural form that they molded it with. On this, it's not going to have that padding really. It's going to be more of a neoprene tongue that's stitched into it. So it's not going to have that same durometer of that thin foam on there, where it's going to be more of a stretchy material, going to stretch with the tongue, so when your tongue does flex forward into the boot, it's not pulling at the seams or anything like that. It has a little bit of give to it, but still enough padding where you're not feeling that shell on the outside of the liner there.
Yeah, basically, when you forward flex through something like this, you're just pushing through the material, there's no rebound, but when you push into a slime tongue, you're going to notice that there's some rebound, the boot wants to take shape. That's going to add that rigidity. It also adds more response to the actual boot.
So the way we cut these boots is we made sure to cut it so we could see the inside of the boa here, which we actually have the internal mechanism, which is pretty much just a piece of metal that's coiled up and just placed in where it has a little tab, it connects to it, and that way when you pull on the boa on the new H4 system, it'll push right back into itself, so it's not like you have to just crank your life away like you're in junior high again. You can just nice and easy let it go, push that dial in, and twist it up. And we just wanted to pretty much cut into it to see how this works, just because I had never known how it works.
Yeah, me either.
And this is a pretty new technology as of the past 2 years. So.
Yeah, because it's in the H4s, so it's out of the newest generation of boa. And this is actually really nice because, like you said, you pull it out and it auto recoils for you. And seeing how that actually works and how simple that truthfully is, it's a pretty solid mechanism that I really wouldn't worry about breaking down in the first 100 days of the boot. Mm-hmm. And I say that as someone that typically gets about 150 days per pair of boa boots, and I've been riding boa boots for almost 20 years now. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the liners, there were some noticeable differences between the low end to the high end. And then the big thing is that they're both using a 3-piece foam. It's just the densities in the foam are different. So on the lower end liner, it's very minuscule, where it gets thicker on the higher end one. So when you actually peel these open, the mid layer on this is what provides the heat insulation, and then you've got this like less dense foam on the inside and the outside of it, and then when it comes down to the bottom, it turns into this single foam, which that actually shares with the higher end liner. It does become a little bit less dense under there, which is what you would expect because you do have that footbed in there and everything like that. Now, when it came to the higher end liner, you did have this exoskeleton right here, and this actually provides more rigidity as well as the rest of the material out there. That was one of the things that we both noticed with this, that it definitely did that. Was there anything else with your liner on the Insano that stood out to you?
Just on the outside, you're going to have a lot denser of foam than you do on the softer liner. And then you're also going to have a bigger J-bar in it just to keep that ankle down. And they actually cut out foam in the middle here just so it allows your ankle to kind of push out into that, so you're not getting any ankle pains or any pressure points in there, where it just allows it for your ankle to just float freely.
So basically with a higher end liner, you are getting better customization and a better fit. The lower end liner is basically slam your foot in, get out the door, go ride. Probably bought this thing too damn big to begin with, and then you're going to upgrade to a better boot. That was the big thing between a low end and a high end that we actually noticed with these.
Mm-hmm. The inside of the shell are going to have two different layouts to them, where you're going to have more of the wool material that runs from the heel to the toe throughout the whole toe box area and all, where on the Insanos and the higher end ones, where you do get that heat blanket installed, it's going to cut off there. So you're not going to have as much of the wool inside. So what that'll do, help with warmth in your toes, obviously, like we talked about before, but it's just going to make that boot a little bit lighter where you don't have all of that. It's also not going to soak in as much moisture in the springtime, or when you get sweaty feet, it's not going to get bogged down quite as much where it's as stinky as well.
Yeah, that's a big thing, is that it's in an area, it's reduced in an area that you won't have to worry about moisture getting trapped in that pocket. So your boot isn't going to be as funky, which is another plus side of them using urethane as well. It's less likely to absorb that stank in there. This boot, on the other hand, going to be stanky.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we cut some boots open. We showed you what's inside. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. That was the whole point of this video. We'd like to turn this into a series. So hopefully if you hound enough snowboard boot manufacturers, they'll allow us to do this. But the big point of this was to show you guys that there actually is a quality breakdown from low end to high end, which if you're competent, you should know that. But if you're incompetent, you probably needed to be seen, just like you're the same type of people that need to tell us that you had fun while you were riding the snowboard. Do you have anything you want to add to this, TC, with doing this whole experiment here?
I mean, yeah, we need more boots to do it. Just see what everybody else has to offer as opposed to ride.
Yeah. So going with that, if you're new here, remember to subscribe, click the bell, get those notifications. That way you're not missing any of the videos we got coming out for all you snowboarders of the internet. And if you really want to support us, swing on over to
Angry Snowboarder VIP.
That's right. Become a member, throw some money at us, get some behind the scenes content. We could explain it a little bit more over here, but we got a video over there. And as always, guys, I've been your host, Avran. This has been TC, your Lord and Mustache, and we'll see you in another video.
Thanks, guys.